On tonight's episode, fallout from Revolution, fallout from Raw, Dynamite review. We got a lot of shit to talk about, so let's get to it. Hello, everyone. Episode 55, Smells Like Wrasslin, coming at you live again from my humble abode, Long Island, New York, the most magical place on earth. Hometown of the greatest AEW champion ever, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, who successfully defeated Bryan Danielson and retained his AEW World title at Revolution. We're going to talk about that. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot to go over. So, let's start with SmackDown. SmackDown had the long-awaited face-to-face of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns finally gets to meet his opponent for WrestleMania, the guy who won the Royal Rumble, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Aside from that, it was more Dusty shit. You know what I mean? Enough about Dusty already. We get it. Christ almighty. It's just the same thing week after week. We get it. Cody Rhodes, his dad was Dusty Rhodes. Did any of you guys know that? Did you guys know that? Did you know that? No? No? Did anyone know that? I almost didn't know at all. It's not like anyone's been reminding me week after week across every goddamn promotion on this planet. Jesus. Anywho. So they finally meet. Roman basically says, you know what? Whatever your dad didn't teach you, I'm going to teach you at WrestleMania. But whatever. It's good. It's good. That needed to happen. I was saying last week, if we didn't get a face-to-face between Cody and Roman, they are whiffing at this bad. But they did. They actually did. They followed through with a storyline properly. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, let's go to Revolution. Now, Revolution was a great fucking show. A very great show. Let me just find my notes here. Give me a second. Come on. There we go. Got it. Sorry about that, people. All right. So, got lots to talk about. So, we got Revolution. Pay-per-view. This pay-per-view did not have the greatest build in the world in terms of other AEW pay-per-views. I felt like in the prior pay-per-views there was more story. There was a little bit more momentum heading into the pay-per-view. But it's not, I wasn't feeling that build, like it just didn't feel like prior AEW pay-per-views. But on paper, when you saw the matches, I was like, these are all going to be great matches. Like, regardless of the storyline, like, they are putting together matches that I want to see. And that seems to be the way AEW seems to be trying to get by in terms of, like, viewership. Because it doesn't seem like they're putting on the greatest stories, but they're putting on the best pro wrestling, in my opinion. Now, you could say they're only doing part of the pro wrestling shtick because the storylines aren't there and pro wrestling always needs a story. But in terms of the actual in-ring action, AEW is fucking bringing it, and they're fucking bringing it hardcore. All right? But the story parts are lacking. And I'm going to keep on saying this. I say this week after week. This is leaning a little bit more to me towards the fact that Tony is the only one doing the booking. There's only one person. Now, granted, there are people that he says he has an open door policy and people could come to him with ideas. But, like, does that mean that you're collaborating with people who are bringing ideas and building these stories together? Is someone taking the workload off of Tony in some way, shape, or form? Like, the guy doesn't just run AEW. You know what I mean? He's head of analytics for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He runs operations for Fulham Football Club in the Premier League. It just seems like the guy is doing so much. I don't see how you could be exceptional at everything, And as a fan of AEW, I want to know that none of these other things are taking time away that he could be doing to do better at his job. And I'm telling you guys right now that his job performance has been lacking a bit. You know what I mean? Like I said, there aren't as good enough stories anymore. And the excuses for these storylines are pretty thinly held together. You know what I mean? Like, I might have mentioned this last week that a lot of people were saying, oh, there's no build to the trios match. There's no build to the trios match. Technically, and I'm not saying that this is any defense. I'm not defending the booking of this whatsoever. I'm just saying that to say that there wasn't any build is a little disingenuous. There was build. The second the trios division became a thing, the House of Black was on a rampage, destroying fucking everyone. From the second they came back, they've been dominant, and they haven't lost a single match since they've returned. So technically, they almost are having the same build that the Lucha Brothers had before All Out when they beat the Young Bucks for the title in the cage match. Now, an argument could be made that at least the Lucha Brothers were in some sort of tournament, so you knew they were on the title track, because that was supposed to be the climax of the tournament, was that whoever won that tournament was going to fight the Bucks, you know? So, there was some cause to the Lucha Brothers actually having a title shot, but the House of Black, they were running amok on everybody. They were running train on fucking everybody. And they deserved the title shot in that respect. And they beat the Elite and won the Trios titles, which I was actually a little bit shocked that it happened. Because I honestly thought that the Elite, being that they just won back the Trios titles from Death Triangle, I was assuming that they were going to retain. But what I had forgotten is that if you see a tag team or a champion or anybody like overly defending the belts, it was only really a matter of time before they were going to drop it. I mean, the Elite were defending those belts every chance they got, but it was mostly on Rampage and a couple of matches here and there on Dynamite. But like, they've been having trios matches in a way that I felt like, these guys, it feels like this is what Tony does when he books someone to lose the title. He gives them a bunch of wins against people who really have no business challenging for the title. And, once in a blue moon, like maybe one or two defenses, they have a high-profile team that's facing them that actually makes the champions look worth a damn. But the Elite were beating a bunch of, like, no-name guys. Like, Top Flight and AR Fox, I don't consider them a real trios team. They just put together 3 high-flying guys and were like, here you go. Like, let's make a match. And, like, let's be real. They did make some magic with the Elite. They had a great match with them. The Elite also had a fantastic best-of-7 series with the, with Death Triangle. So, like, they kind of did their thing. And, like, now it really was the time to pull the trigger on House of Black because, I mean, what else were they doing? I mean, even I left myself, even me, my head was scratching when I was like, okay, well, if the Elite win, what the heck do you do with House of Black? Do you split them up? Do you make them a tag team? Are they going to go after the Guns? Like, what's going on? And they went the route of actually giving them the belts. And from the looks of it, it looks like next week they're going to have a 3-way trios match for the title. It's going to be House of Black versus the Elite versus Jericho Appreciation Society. So I'm very interested to see how that's going to go down. I mean, obviously House of Black is going to win. But I have this feeling that they're going to stack up all these matches for these trios teams so that they can have some sort of resume to their title reigns and then just quickly change hands. Now, I know that there's been talk, especially in the circles of friends that I talk to who are wrestling fans. There's definitely some unrest about the booking of both the All Atlantic, now known as the International title, and the TNT title. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. So Revolution, here we go. The show kicked off with, I'm not going to talk about 0 Hour. The show kicked off with Ricky Starks defeating Chris Jericho with the Jericho Appreciation Society banned from ringside. Solid opener. Jericho is always a surefire bet to do to be an opening match because he gets a good pop. He is always involved in some sort of storyline that gets a lot of TV time on Dynamite. So if you're watching the shows week to week, it's expected that you're going to see Chris Jericho on a pay-per-view. Now, I kind of just been feeling like, to be quite honest, that like Jericho has been spinning his wheels creatively for several months now. I mean, I do think that when he was the Ring of Honor champ and he was on this streak of beating all these awesome wrestlers and having these great matches and being the Lionheart, I fucking loved it. I mean, even though he ended up losing the belt to Claudio, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a good use of Chris Jericho. You know what I mean? I thought it brought attention to the ROH title, which you wanted. I kind of was, when he became champ, I was half expecting them to have a TV deal in place for Ring of Honor, because it's pretty much how they booked AEW. They gave Jericho the belt and made him their first champion, because let's be real, he was more of a household name than anybody on the AEW roster. If you were going to make a debut on national television, you should have a guy forefront a national name. And say what you will about who you think is, like some of the best wrestlers and popular, but people know Chris Jericho. Maybe not as many people as The Rock or Stone Cold or The Undertaker or Bret Hart or whatever, but like Jericho is a top wrestling name. He is among one of those names that when you're researching wrestling, his name pops up. So it was definitely the smart idea to make him the first AEW champion. When they made him the ROH champion, when they after Tony kind of bought the company and they were doing this whole thing, and who ended up beating Gresham? When Claudio beat Gresham, and it was kind of like they weren't really doing anything, and then there was kind of rumors of them doing a TV deal, and then Jericho won. I was like, oh, well, they're definitely getting a TV deal, but it never happened. They're going to be doing like NXT. They are going to be running out of Universal Studios. It's going to be in front of a studio audience. They're going to tape multiple episodes in a day, just like NXT used to be. I think this is a great place to take a lot of people who shouldn't be off television and put them in ROH. But I'm telling you guys right now, the benefits of ROH being in this particular format and kind of being like an NXT to AEW, it's only going to work if there's good booking. And like, there's not like, hey, listen, them getting Kingston involved in the title feud, that interests me. Kingston I've been waiting for Kingston to hold gold since he lost that feud to Cody. Like, I want Kingston to hold a title. And I think that there's no better title for him to hold right now than the ROH title. Looks like he's going to go heel. He's been posting a lot of things. He said he's quit AEW. He shows up on ROH. He challenges Claudio. Him and Claudio have a history. He's been giving him shit ever since Claudio returned. Even during the their blood and guts match, he wasn't too big of a fan. So like, there's history there. And Eddie Kingston, who's great on the mic and great in the ring, as a heel ROH champ and going on like a 6-month run would be fucking awesome. You know what I mean? It would be fucking incredible. So I'm really hoping that that's the way that it goes. But anywho, I digress. We got Ricky Starks defeating Chris Jericho, finally putting to rest this goddamn feud that they've been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months. Starks comes out on top. Thank God. Jungle Boy Jack Perry defeats Christian Cage in a final burial match. Now, I know what I'm about to say isn't smart booking. Obviously, the right call was to go with Jungle Boy winning and going over Christian. This was supposed to be his coming out moment where he now establishes himself as a guy to take seriously. He's no longer with Marco Stunt. He's no longer with Luchasaurus. This guy is pretty much one of the pillars of the company in terms of young male talent that they want to use. He was the guy that should have won the match. But I fucking love Christian Cage. He worked everyone. I love Christian. I thought it would have been fucking hysterical if he won and they just buried Jungle Boy and that would be it. I mean, listen, Jungle Boy is good in the ring, but let's be real. I am not a fan of this whole like, oh, I don't know if I should hurt him. Oh, I don't know. Like this hesitation. This man took your best friend. He fucking humiliated you. He constantly beat the shit out of you. He's cost you opportunity after opportunity. And you still don't... Finally in this match, Jungle Boy grew a pair. You know what I'm saying? Like, the build to a guy who I want to take seriously shouldn't be, oh, he's finally grown a pair. Here we go. You know what I mean? Like, this dude should have a little bit more bass in his voice. He needs to cut better promos. He needs to be a tough guy. That's the problem that I have with Adam Page. You know what I mean? Like, they interviewed him tonight on Dynamite, and he's like, my body hurts, but my mind and my soul are at peace. Yo, fuck your mind, fuck your spirit, and fuck your soul, all right? I want to hear, like, I beat Jon Moxley. That guy thought he could get one over on me. He was the guy who almost made me forget my son's name. He kept coming at me and coming at me. He came after my friends. He came after me, and I whooped his ass. And Renee, I'm sorry, I know he's your husband, but you know what? Mox knew what he was signing up for when he got into this business, and you knew what you were signing up for when you married him. And I got to do what I got to do. I'm my own man. I got my own family, and I got to take care of my business. May the best man win. But it was almost like he was just fucking being apologetic about it. Like, dude, you're a pro wrestler, all right? You were meant to beat the shit out of people, all right? Stop apologizing for it, and honestly, stop being a fucking pussy about it. I'm fucking sick and tired of it. Like, eventually Hangman, I think, is going to make another run for the title. Obviously, he's not going to win if he's going against MJF, because, like I said, MJF is probably going to hold on to this title until 2024 and drop it to Darby Allin. I'm still going to plant a flag on that fucking prediction. But, you know, like, I just want a little bit more toughness from my champions. And my champions kind of seem a little weak right now. You know what I mean? Except for fucking, like, a handful of them. You know what I mean? Like, MJF beat the shit out of Bryan Danielson. Sure, he cheated, but he fucking went 60 minutes and he fucking pinned Danielson. He fucking took him, he took him to the mat. You know what I mean? House of Black, badasses. Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, Samoa Joe, Claudio Castagnoli, badasses. Even Jade Cargill in her own right, badass. You know? Jamie Hayter, badass. You know, like, these are all guys and gals that are fucking tough men and women. And that's what I want out of championship material. This is what I want out of stars of the company. I'm tired of this, like, I want to be real and I want to show emotion and this and that. No. It's not good storytelling. Sure, it's real, but it's not good storytelling. You guys are actors playing roles, all right? So after a certain point, just put aside this, in real life I deal with anxiety bullshit. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. That's not the kind of connection that I want to have with a pro wrestling, with a pro wrestling character. You know what I mean? They're supposed to be immune to all that shit. They're supposed to be larger than life. And I don't see that shit. I don't fucking see it. I don't fucking see it. The following match, House of Black defeats the Elite. House of Black obviously consisting of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, accompanied by Julia Hart. The Elite obviously consisting of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, which are Matt and Nick Jackson. They came to the ring with Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa. This was a crazy match. If you were like, wow, putting these 6 men in the ring, it's probably going to be an amazing match, it's because you're fucking right. It was an amazing match. Went all the way down to the wire. With them doing a Dante's Inferno on Matt Jackson after the Elite just got absolutely pummeled towards the end of the match. I mean, they made a great comeback, and I honestly thought they had it when they gave Malachi Black the BTE trigger. And but no, man, they came into it and they beat the Elite. They're the new Trios Tag Champions, and rightfully so. House of Black, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, Brody King, they've been languishing in, like, mid-card vortex for a long time. I mean, some of the more higher profile stuff that Malachi Black did was with Cody, and then when Cody left, you really didn't get to see Malachi in anything really hardcore. You know, I would have loved to see him in feuds with Ricky Starks or Orange Cassidy. Like, I felt like we weren't getting any of those things, you know? What do you call it? Jamie Hayter, with Dr. Britt Baker, defeated Saraya and Ruby Soho to retain the AEW Women's Championship. I am not a fan of this whole AEW original storyline. I mean, to be quite honest, none of them are. AEW has always been a company that prided themselves getting people from other companies. I would say they should really call themselves like Day Ones, but I'm pretty sure that's already been taken by the Usos and WWE. But like Day Ones would be like Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter. Ruby Soho has only been here for maybe about maybe 2 years. You know what I mean? In the company's 5-year history. You know, Jamie Hayter debuted at some point in the middle of the rise of Britt Baker. And Britt Baker's been here since day one. You know, so like I just don't, you know, it's just whatever. So it does make sense for Ruby Soho and Saraya and Tony Storm to team up because they're all ex-WWE chicks. You know what I mean? Now they got like Willow Nightingale coming in. I'm just not a fan of this storyline. I just want this to eventually get to the point where Britt Baker goes heel again and turns on Jamie Hayter, and they have an awesome match like that they deserve to fucking have. I'm hoping that Thunder Rosa comes back so Jamie Hayter could beat her, and Thunder Rosa could go on doing other things in the women's division, maybe going after the TBS title. Hopefully Statlander, who I hear is healthy or on her way to healthy, like it's only a matter of time before Statlander comes back. But like this TBS title needs to be vacated already by Jade Cargill, and the wheels of pushing people and people winning titles and getting title reigns and dropping the title, that needs to happen because there's a pressure cooker building in the women's division and people aren't really going anywhere except for the AEW title. Things need to change. All right. And I could tell that they're treading water for Statlander, that they're going to make Statlander the winner of the TBS belt. And then stuff's going to start going on with the TBS title. But it's taking way too long. Way too long. But, you know, Statlander got hurt, and she got hurt serious. And it's a serious injury that takes a serious amount of time. But it's just killing me, man. Like, they couldn't think of anything better than just keeping the title on Jade for 56 victories straight. I mean, come on, man. The post-match had Ruby Soho turning on everybody. Who fucking cares? Honestly, who cares? Hangman Adam Page defeats Jon Moxley in a Texas death match. These guys beat the fucking shit out of one another. They beat each other down so bad. It was fucking awesome. As far as Texas death matches go, I honestly thought that this was one of the more entertaining Texas death matches. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but that was the first time they had a Texas death match without any thumbtacks, right? I feel like every single time they've had a Texas death match, they've done thumbtacks. Actually, to be quite honest, I can't remember the last time I saw thumbtacks in AEW. I'm sure it was somewhere, but I don't remember. I know it happened because everyone used to complain about it, but it hasn't been that. It hasn't. I like. When is that? I'm shocked. But it was a great match. Moxley is the man. He's the fucking king of the death match. Hangman Adam Page beat the shit out of him. He didn't have any sort of hesitation or any of that bullshit that Jungle Boy had. Maybe Jungle Boy could take a page out of Hangman's book when it comes to fighting nemesises and stop being like, I don't know if I should hit it. Oh, man up. Man the fuck up. You're not Jungle Boy anymore, all right? You're Jack fucking Perry now. Christ. Wardlow defeats Samoa Joe to win the TNT title. I mean, like, listen, that Texas death match was really awesome. I was like half in, half out with the fucking Wardlow match. I'm not going to lie. Or maybe that was the time of the night where I was handing out tacos to everybody. I'm not quite too sure. But Wardlow defeats Samoa Joe with a rear naked choke. Powerhouse Hobbs was in the stands watching, gives him a stare down. Because Powerhouse Hobbs won the Face of the Revolution ladder match last week on Dynamite, he is guaranteed a title shot on tonight's episode of Dynamite, which, as we all know, Powerhouse Hobbs won with help from QT Marshall, and Powerhouse Hobbs is the new TNT champion. We'll talk a little bit more about the TNT title once we start talking about Dynamite. There were so many freaking people in this tag match. We had, so the AEW tag team titles were on the line. The Guns, consisting of Austin and Colton Gunn, defeat the Acclaimed, consisting of Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, along with Billy Gunn. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, who were accompanied to the ring by Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. The All-Atlantic champion, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. So already, based on the tag teams in that match, I wasn't taking this tag team match seriously. Because there were no way that they were going to give the belts to Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. There was no way they were going to give the belts to Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I do not think that they were going to just have them taken from the Acclaim just so they could win them right back. But after what happened with the TNT title, I actually should have had that particular theory and took it a little bit more seriously. Because I didn't think we played hot potatoes. I didn't think they played hot potato with championships in AEW. But the Guns defeat everybody. Big whoop-de-fucking-do. They post match, Renee Paquette interviewed them. They said they were the best tag team in the world. Then FTR's music hits, huge pop for FTR. They've been gone for a while after all their tag losses, especially after the death of Jay Briscoe. So they take out the guns, they hold up the belts. They're coming after those tag titles, so I can only assume it's going to be several weeks before they get that title shot. I'm assuming they're going to give the Guns a bunch of things to do to give them a title reign, but I mean, what's going on with these AEW tag titles? I mean, they should, if they were going to give, I mean, I would have never given them to the Guns. The Guns were not ready for this. The Acclaim could have held on, and then they could have lost the belts back to FTR. You know what I mean? Like, that could have actually, no. Who did I'm sorry. The Acclaimed beat Swerve in Our Glory for the belts. So, like, but then I think FTR challenged them and the Acclaim ended up winning. So, like, you know, like, I feel like they could have just had their rematch and that could have been it. Why they give the belts to the Guns who aren't going to do anything with it? Like, they've been treated as jokes for forever. They really never gotten any serious wins on television. They're always called the Ass Boys. They're pretty much just Billy's sons, you know? Like, I just don't think that they're developed enough as characters to warrant a title reign. But, you know, they're a young tag team, and you got to put the tag team titles on young tag teams sometimes, but I just don't think that it was the, I don't think it was the Guns' time. Honestly. I do not think it was the Guns' time. Main event of the night, MJF defeats Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match. 4 falls to 3 in sudden death to retain the AEW championship. This was everything that it needed to be. All right, an amazing 60-minute Iron Man classic. MJF needed to have this match. He, you know, I mean, listen, he's had fantastic wrestling matches. If you followed MJF's career, for you to put into any doubt his wrestling ability, it just shows that you haven't been following the man's career. But the guy has been putting on awesome wrestling matches for many, many years. You know what I mean? It's no coincidence that he was in AEW. He's the total package. He's got the look, he's got the mic skills, and he's got the in-ring capability. And he showed all of that in spades during that 60-minute match with Danielson. Granted, you know, obviously MJF is a mega heel, and he used some cheating ways to get the upper hand on Danielson and eventually get him to tap. But it was an awesome 60-minute match. Very well booked, very well paced. It didn't feel like an hour at all. Like, those guys were just going at it like they were supposed to go at it. And I thought it was a great match. MJF is the champion. Curious to see what's in store for him. I think they said next week is going to be his bar mitzvah. So who knows what's going on with that one. That concludes the review for Revolution. Let's move on to Monday Night Raw real quick and then Dynamite. So Monday Night Raw, the real main thing that you want to take away from this is that Jey Uso finally turned on Sami Zayn and has staked his put his flag in the sand for the Bloodline. The only person who came to Sami's aid was Cody Rhodes. Earlier in the night, it was Kevin Owens versus Solo Sikoa. When the Bloodline started to interfered in the match and it ended in a DQ, and they started jumping Kevin. It was Sami Zayn who came out and rescued him. Later on in a backstage segment, you had Sammy confront Kevin, and Kevin is just like, I don't want to tag with you. This is the same arena that you betrayed me in for War Games. Like, I want to go after the Bloodline. I'll do it my way. I don't want to do it with you. I don't want to team up or anything. Can't blame the guy. I mean, Sammy really went through extreme lengths to prove himself to the Bloodline. And I think he did that at the expense of the whatever bond was left between his frenemy, Kevin Owens. So they are still building up the anticipation to these two teaming up. I am hoping, and this is my hope, if I was writing it, I would have Cody try and bring them together and realize that the only way that the three of them are going to succeed is if they attack the bloodline on two fronts, with Cody going after Roman and Sammy and Kevin going after the Usos. I don't know who the fuck is going to go after Solo, but like they have, it's strength in numbers, and it's time they start making alliances with one another if they're going to get over. John Cena had an amazing promo segment with Austin Theory, which he pretty much buried the poor kid. This leading to a match between both Cena and Theory at WrestleMania. One of the maybe 3 matches that I'm looking forward to that weekend. The other ones are Cody and Roman, Usos, and Sammy and Kevin, which I assume is going to be booked. I didn't bother watching this promo because I hate listening to Logan Paul talk. I already know that they were going to be setting up a match between Logan Paul and Seth Rollins. I don't need to listen to the promos to know that the match is going to happen, nor do I need to listen to the promos to know that the match is going to be any good. Seth Rollins is awesome. Logan Paul's got some skills. I'll admit that for a rookie, he does. I mean, I don't like him. I don't want him in wrestling. I want him gone. I don't care what kind of numbers he does for the business. Me personally, I just don't like Hollywood stars and social media stars in pro wrestling. I want them out. This is just not their world, and I feel like when they come in, they just act like tourists, you know? So, I'm just not a fan. I don't care if Logan Paul signed the contract or not. I'm not a fan. So, they had a promo. Could I tell you what happened? No, because I don't give a fuck. All I know is that they're going to have a match at WrestleMania. That's the other match I'm looking forward to. And that's pretty much it for Raw in terms of what I thought was important. Everything else you could pretty much skip. They did have Johnny Gargano beat Finn Balor, which I thought was awesome because Edge came back and is still fucking feuding with Judgment Day. I don't know how long these guys have to feud. It's almost been 6 fucking months. The same people are fucking feuding. It's just like, let's get Edge to do something else. Like, how many fucking times does the Judgment Day have to feud with Edge and some other combination of jabroni out there? I don't know. Anywho, Dynamite starts off with Orange Cassidy defeating Jay Lethal to retain the AEW All Atlantic title. Orange Cassidy, you know, he gets a good pop. They portray him to be a big star. This is obviously someone who you want opening up the show. I mean, whether or not he's drawing ratings, that could be argued by anybody, especially since AEW hasn't been doing so great in the ratings. But, you know, you do have to establish guys as people worth watching. And when you put them on in big moments, or you put them on in moments where you think a lot of people are going to be watching, it shows faith. I think it showed a lot of faith in Orange Cassidy, and I think it showed a lot of faith in Jay Lethal. Both are fantastic wrestlers. I have my gripes with Orange Cassidy's gimmick sometimes. I think when he wrestles serious matches, he should be serious. But otherwise, like, I don't want to see him with his hands in his pockets fighting Shibata. I don't care if Shibata picked the match, and I don't care if Shibata knew what he was getting into. If I'm going to watch a serious match with serious people, I want to see them wrestle seriously. And with wrestling with your hands in your pockets against a freaking murderer like Shibata, it just kind of takes me out of the match. That's just my personal opinion. So we got basically it was a deal of Jay Lethal going after the leg, Orange Cassidy going after the shoulder. This played a big part into the finish with Jay Lethal trying to do the lethal injection, but because of the damage to the arm and the shoulder, he couldn't springboard himself into that cutter, which Orange Cassidy ended up taking advantage of to do the orange punch. 1, 2, 3, victory. Then there was a whole bunch of distraction. Jeff Jarrett came out, destroyed the guitar on Orange Cassidy's leg. This is apparently setting up an All-Atlantic Championship match, now being called the AEW International Championship. It will be Jeff Jarrett versus Orange Cassidy. Why this match is being made, no fucking idea. Why Jeff Jarrett is challenging for a title, no fucking idea. Why Tony tried to make a big deal out of it, No fucking idea. It was almost like to promote the fact that, hey, listen, this is going to be called the I'm going to end up now confusing and say the Intercontinental title. I know it's going to fucking happen. It's going to happen a lot. I don't fucking give a shit. But the international title for AEW, listen, I don't care what they fucking name it. Just book it better. Because right now, it's only being defended domestically. You know what I mean? Like, it should be given to a guy like Takeshita, and then Takeshita should go around the world and defend it. He should be defending it in the UK. He should be defending it in Mexico. He should be defending it in Japan. He should be defending it in some of the indies in the US. He should be defending it in Canada. Like, he needs to be, like, get a guy who could be a brand ambassador for AEW and send them out there into the world and just do a tour of them defending the belt. So that everybody knows that when the international champion comes around, you never know whether or not there's going to be a title change and then someone's going to be shipped off. We don't see him for 6 months because they're going to be defending it on the indies. But I do not want to see that title defended anymore in AEW. But I think what's happening right now is because they don't have enough storylines. They're running out of plot devices. Championships, listen guys, championships in terms of storytelling, a title is a plot device, all right? It is something to seek. It is something to defend. It is something to fight over. It is something to betray and build alliances with. Titles are plot devices. You know what I mean? And because AEW is running out of really good original storylines, because I feel like they're scraping the bottom of the battle right now and rehashing a lot of stuff. That's why the AEW International Championship has kind of stayed put in the States, because they just needed someone to come out with a title and someone to defend that title, because titles mean people care. That's how I think that they're viewing it. So the international title should be defended internationally, should rarely be defended on the AEW. Every once in a while, the international champ should come back and showcase and let everyone know that they're still around. And okay, I beat this person. I'm going back out there on the road. I'm going to this country. I'm going to that country. Every single All-Atlantic champion should come back with some should be able to boast some sort of resume over all the countries they've defeated that that they defended that belt in. Otherwise, I feel like you're just doing a disservice to the belt. And they're still carrying around that goddamn Golden Globe. Like, who fucking cares about the Golden Globes? They suck. The people who choose who wins those Golden Globes are fucking idiots. Renee Paquette is backstage with Powerhouse Hobbs. Apparently Wardlow got his car broken into and his belongings along with the TNT title was stolen. So that's gone. So Powerhouse Hobbs said it's unfortunate what happened to Wardlow, and he said tonight he's going to take the only thing he has left, the title of the title of champion, the figurative title of champion, not the literal title, like the physical title. Anywho, Ricky Starks makes his way to the ring. Still gets a huge pop. It's good to see Ricky Starks in television more often. I feel like if you're going to showcase him this much, there needs to be some progression. I don't know whether or not him feuding with Juice Robinson is a thing. It did feel really cool to hear the OG Bullet Club music playing inside on AEW television. I love the Bullet Club theme. To be quite honest, and I know, listen, this is my own fucking personal opinion, so this is what I think. I think AEW could benefit from the Bullet Club making a stop in AEW and being that faction, being the faction that Bullet Club was back when. You know what I mean? They tried to recreate that with the Elite, and they got close when they had the Super Elite. But, we need, the Bullet Club to come back. We need the Bullet Club to come back, the Bullet Club shirts, all that shit. I mean, I'm pretty sure the marketing and merchandising must be a nightmare because New Japan probably owns all that. But I'd love to see a faction like Bullet Club, at the height of Bullet Club, make a statement in AEW. AEW needs a statement faction, and they have so many factions that really none of them make a statement. It's almost common ground. But there's yet to be a real standout faction in AEW to the levels of a Bullet Club. So that's something I would like to see. Whew. I'm sorry, guys. Long day. So, Starks, Ricky Starks doesn't know what's next for him. Before he could finish, the Bullet Club music hits. He gets attacked from behind by Juice Robinson. So it looks like the next feud for Ricky Starks is him and Juice Robinson. So hey, as long as this leads to Ricky getting a title shot, great. Now with Hobbs having the title, Ricky Starks and Hobbs have history. Ricky could go after the TNT title. Ricky could go after potentially maybe the All-Atlantic title, and they ship him around the world. I mean, Ricky Starks is a great brand ambassador. He's a great wrestler, and honestly, like if I was in an area where they had an indie show and someone told me that Ricky Starks was going to be there defending the international AEW title, I would consider paying money to see that shit. You know what I mean? So maybe that would work out for Ricky. I don't know, but I'd like to see Ricky go places. And I'm curious as to where this feud with him and Juice Robinson is gonna leave him. Shivani's backstage with Wardlow, basically kind of asking him where his mind is at in the midst of all this chaos with his car being broken into, the title being stolen just after he won it. Basically he said that he's in a pissed off mood, and he's gonna now change this match to a false count anywhere, anything goes match for the TNT belt. I don't know why he thought that was a good idea. He obviously is regretting that right now after he fucking lost that title tonight because of those specific rules. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Not gonna lie, I totally skipped over this entire promo. I'm going to give you guys the cliff notes based on just the people who I talked to who watched the show, because I honestly couldn't fucking care less about this storyline. And honestly, these segments are a great way for me to catch up when I fall behind, when I come home late from work, or if I want to make dinner or work out and I can't watch on time. So this is a great opportunity for me to fast forward this entire goddamn segment. But in short, let's see. Renee Paquette introduces Ruby Soho. She walks out with Toni Storm and Saraya, but basically tells him to stay in the back. She walks out solo to Paquette, gets booed. She says the fans created this monster. She said when she wrestled Britt Baker in her first title match, the fans were thrilled that she lost, which is true. I was there and I was like, Britt Baker's got to be, she's got to defend. There's no way they're giving it to Ruby Soho. It's going to be for Britt. It was the rise of Britt Baker, right? She was one of the best things that ever happened to that women's division, aside from Jamie Hayter. So, yeah, I was thrilled. Then she was said when she wrestled Chris Statlander in the Owen Hart tournament, she was booed out of the building. That's because Chris Statlander is fucking awesome. And Ruby Soho has already made it big time. She was already in the WWE, and I didn't want to see Ruby Soho succeed. I've already seen her succeed. I want to see someone who hasn't succeed. And that person is Chris fucking Statlander, who is yet to win a belt or any really major matches yet. I mean, she definitely puts on impressive streaks, and she puts on good matches, sure, but she hasn't had any statement victories yet, and she's overdue. So yeah, when she beat Ruby Soho, that should have happened, definitely. She says, cut to Revolution, Jamie Hayter pins her, and no one realized, and realized no one will ever come. When Jamie Hayter pinned her, and she realized no one will come to her defense, she said, Toni Storm and Saraya weren't appreciated when they came to AEW. I don't understand where the fuck that came from, because Saraya got a huge pop and was mega babyface and fought Britt Baker and won with the fans' support. And Toni Storm got a huge pop and was AEW Women's Champion. And she actually wasn't too bad of a champion. I mean, she had some really good matches, especially with Jamie Hayter. So, like, whatever. But anywho, she said, the broken foundation of AEW is entitled little shits and rookies who think they deserve the world. She said, demanded Sky Blue to come into the ring, who was her opponent. Ruby Soho beat Sky Blue. It was a match I also skipped because who fucking cares? Sky Blue, after the match, gets jumped by the rest of the clowns. Willow Nightingale comes out. For some reason, she thought it was a smart idea to try and talk sense into Ruby. While she was doing that genius move, she got jumped by Saraya and Toni Storm, and they beat the shit out of her also. So this is a storyline Eric doesn't care about. Renee Paquette's backstage with Hangman. She's asking how he's doing. She says physically he's been better. He had to let his heart blacken because he had to. If you want to push him, we'll take you to hell and ride back out. Paquette asks whether or not him and Moxley are finally done. She apologizes to Renee for what she had to witness on Sunday, but not to blame him. She said after this past Sunday, he's finished with Moxley. Let's see how far that went. Video package of MJF following his defense at Revolution. He tells the people who thought that Bryan Danielson was on his level to get their brains checked. He said MJF has a horn coming out of his forehead as his back is no longer against the wall. He said Daddy's single in San Francisco. He said March 15th is his birthday. He's going to stroll into Winnipeg and have a party. His reign of terror has just begun. Shivani introduces FTR to the ring. They got a huge ovation from the crowd. They say how great it is to be back. They talk about how the last couple of months were rough, about losing their titles, losing their close friend in Jay Briscoe. Wheeler brings up the Guns, calls them the future of the division, but he says they're entitled assholes. He's going to teach them everything Daddy Ass should have taught them. Harwood says he loves the fans and he loves the industry, and they have to become the AEW Tag Team Champions. They're going to do it for the fans, the Briscoes, and themselves. Renee Paquette's backstage with Jade Cargill and Layla Gray. Cargill doesn't feel like she's challenged, obviously, because the majority of that women's division are a bunch of jabronis. She says she's 53-0. Next week, she challenges the best that Canada has to offer to step up. I have no idea who they're talking about. Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Sammy Guevara of the Jericho Appreciation Society defeat Top Flight. Jericho Appreciation Society has been taking a lot of L's lately. So as weird as this might sound, like if they were going to challenge for the trios titles, they were going to need to put out a win, and a win they did. After the match, Angelo Parker said this is the biggest trios win in AEW history. Matt Menard says it's the 1-year anniversary of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Garcia calls themselves the number one contenders for the trios belts. Guevara he just says that everyone's sexy. Hager says he loves the sexy hat. Jericho calls out the House of Black. The lights go out, but it's the Elite that interrupted. Omega has basically said that the Elite has stayed out of the way of Jericho and all of his factions, which I actually don't think is true. I'm pretty sure that the Inner Circle beat the shit out of the Elite like way back when, but whatever. Don Callis interrupts Omega, says the Elite are the ones who established the trios titles. They're the rightful number one contenders. Callis puts over Jericho as one of the best, but he's the second best wrestler in Winnipeg. And if Jericho had a couple of months, if Callis had a couple of months to train, Jericho would be the third best wrestler in Winnipeg. Jericho taunts him and calls him out to the ring, but it's really House of Black that shows up. They stand in between the Elite and the JAS. The lights go out again. House of Black disappears. Great. It's going to be a 3-way trios match next week for the titles. Tony Khan is backstage, announces that Orange Cassidy has asked for an All-Atlantic title match against Jeff Jarrett. Tony Khan has granted him that title match. He says it's a milestone match for AEW and being in partnership with Warner Brothers. He's saying that the newest Shazam movie is being released, and the All-Atlantic title is now being renamed into the AEW International Championship. He says the title is being leveled up. They gave a trailer for the Shazam movie mixed with clips of Jeff Jarrett and Orange Cassidy. Whatever. It just seems like a very shoehorned Warner Brothers promotion for a movie. This match is not... If you're going to promote a movie, I would not be putting Orange Cassidy versus Jeff Jarrett. I mean, you actually want to put a match that people want to see if you're going to promote a movie. So the booking of the All-Atlantic title continues to be muddled in obscurity. Bryan Danielson has a post-match promo, a video package from after the match he had with MJF. He's in tears, basically saying MJF was right. He put wrestling in front of his family. He's going to go home. He gave Max everything he got, but he couldn't beat him. And that's it. So I'm assuming we're going to see Danielson take a break from television. I'm hoping that he comes back in time to have a match with Omega, because they had a 20-minute draw. Like there needs to be a match between Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega with some sort of victor at the end of it. So that's what I'm waiting to see. So Danielson can take time, rest, but there are really awesome matches that I'd like to see him do. I also like to see him in the G1, which is yet to be announced. So, there's a lot of things that Danielson could do. He's had his title shot. This is actually his second title shot in AEW. He had one against Hangman, the other one now against MJF. So, we'll see. Actually, did he fight Mox for the title? I don't really remember. Anywho, John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli defeat Alex Reynolds and John Silver. At first, I thought, like, why in the blue fuck is Moxley wrestling? Like, how is he no-selling that absolutely torturous match that he had with Hangman? They fight against Dark Order. They beat Dark Order. They continue to beat the shit out of Dark Order after the match. Evil Uno comes out. He gets the shit kicked out of him. And then finally that leads to Hangman coming out to defend the Dark Order. What is going on? Like, why is this still going on? You know? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Anywho, Renee Paquette, who is working overtime tonight, my friend, she was in every segment today. Renee Paquette asked the Acclaim and Daddy asked what's next for them. Bowen says the tag team titles are next. That brought in Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, who said they love rap music, and that the Acclaimed are sports entertainers at heart, offering them a spot in the JAS. The Acclaimed laughed in their faces, saying that they're on TV more than Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, and basically walked off. So I'm assuming we're going to see some matches between the Acclaimed and the tag team formerly known as 2.0. I think they're a great tag team. I would love to see the 2.0 get more camera time. And honestly, I'd love to see them get away from the Jericho Appreciation Society and breed their own tag team. But, you know, it is what it is. Powerhouse Hobbs defeats Wardlow to win the TNT title. Wardlow has only held on to the belt for like 36 hours and he dropped it already. I have no fucking idea what the hell is going on with the TNT title. I have no idea what's going on with the AW tag titles. I have no idea what's going on with the international title. There is a lot of like, what the fuck is going on storytelling wise going on with these titles. Oh, it's Process in the chat. What's going on, my brother? So listen, I'm glad that Powerhouse Hobbs won the title. Honestly, I didn't think that Wardlow should have gotten another chance against Samoa Joe. I really think they should have cut out the middleman and had Powerhouse Hobbs win the TNT belt. I just don't understand why they had Wardlow win it. Like, I don't understand if Powerhouse Hobbs won the Face of the Revolution match, he should have just been the one to challenge for the belt at Revolution. You know, why was it the 3 days after Revolution and you're just going to have Wardlow drop the belt? Listen, I don't like how it happened, but I'm glad that Powerhouse Hobbs has the belt. I'm hoping that he brings some stability to the title, has a legitimate title reign. I think it's his time. He's gotten better in the ring. He's better on the mic. He's created a character for himself. I'm always a big fan. I honestly hope he just comes out in a fucking like Kingpin-esque kind of tuxedo suit every single week and reads from the Book of Hobbs about how he just fucking murders people and goes on a monster reign. Honestly, because this TNT belt hot potato bullshit is like it's hard to care about the title when no one has any meaningful reigns. You know what I mean? It just seems like a temporary promotion. You know, that's what it feels to me. And that is so and I know I mentioned this before earlier in the podcast, but the main reason that Powerhouse Hobbs won is because QT Marshall came in for the assist. Now, it was said on commentary like a ways back, like, oh, QT Marshall said, I'm going to make this right. I got your back. I got your back. So they're going to call back to a throwaway storyline that happened months and months ago as the driving reason as to why we should accept that just all of a sudden QT Marshall and Powerhouse Hobbs are together. I don't know. As it stands for Rampage this week, it's going to be Sammy Guevara versus Action Andretti. The Acclaim will be in action. Konosuke Takeshita in a big Haas match against Preston Vance, formerly known as Number 10. And Riho versus Nyla Rose fighting again. Dynamite next week is going to be, so far, Orange Cassidy versus Jeff Jarrett for the AEW International title. And MJF celebrates his bar mitzvah. Also, AEW World Trios titles are on the line. House of Black defending their titles against the Elite and the Jericho Appreciation Society. I expect House of Black to come out on top. I expect it to be an entertaining match, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Daniel Garcia are going to be the trios team representing the JAS. So like I said, good times. But I don't know a lot of these titles, I don't know what's going on, man. The title reigns are becoming shorter and shorter. Like I said, like AEW has a storytelling problem, and they have a title reign problem. And the only way I think it could be solved is that if you have different minds that are focused on different storylines and different belts, that they could dedicate all their time to give these storylines some cadence. Because right now, there's improvements that need to be made, and they need to be made soon. Guys, this is the end of the show for this evening. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Process, Royal, Daisy in the chat, thank you very much. I will be coming at you next week. We're going to be talking about SmackDown, any important news that's dropped throughout the week, a little bit of Raw. We'll maybe even talk about Rampage if there's something worthwhile, and then the weekly Dynamite review. I'm between yawning and burping on my dinner right now. Embarrassing. Well, thank you guys all for joining the podcast. Tune in next week, episode 56, 10 p.m., right after Dynamite, here on the Smells Like Wrasslin YouTube channel. Thank you guys all for joining, and have a great